Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt and I have spent the week with the new Hyundai Sonata in limited, which means it's hybrid exclusively. And this Sonata competes against legendary and iconic nameplates like the Honda Accord and the Toyota Camry, both of which are pretty new. But for 2024, this Sonata has a pretty serious facelift and it's packing quite a punch. So we're going to see how it stacks up to the Camry and the Accord, going through the best and the rest. And the first thing I have to say is about all-wheel drive, and it's a little bit of a bummer because now for 2024 you can get all-wheel drive, but you can only get it in your SEL trim depending on how you spec it. You can't get all-wheel drive with your big power N-line, and you can't get all-wheel drive with your hybrid. It's a little bit of a bummer, especially considering I live in Wisconsin and sometimes we get things like snow. And I know for a fact that the Camry comes with all-wheel drive as a hybrid, and I think the Accord is working on it too. So I would have loved to see all-wheel drive for the hybrid here in the Sonata. Now, this Hyundai Sonata hybrid is technically the least efficient on comparable wheels with the Accord and the Camry, but it's as close as it really makes no difference, so I couldn't really ding it there. But this is also the least powerful of the trio. The Honda does 204 horsepower, the Camry does like 230 or thereabouts. And I mean, 191 horsepower isn't that far behind, but I'm willing to bet that you probably won't feel a difference behind the wheel, especially because the truth is, I spent the entire week in eco mode, and that's probably what you're gonna do here. But we gotta call a fair game for the sake of being thorough in this video. But if you do want more power in your Hyundai Sonata, you can go up to the N-line, which is going to give you the 2.5 turbo engine and almost 300 horsepower and over 300 pound-feet of torque. And the Honda, Toyota, they're not touching that. And then in terms of price, the Sonata here starts at $27,500 for your SEL base trim. Now the Accord starts at a couple hundred more and the Camry starts at another $1,000, but that's with a hybrid. The Limited here, which gets you the hybrid, starts at $37,200. As tested, we're all the way up at $38,560. An Accord Limited is gonna get you $38,900 and a Camry XSE only $34,600. So it's a little expensive depending on how you spec it and if you want a hybrid or not, but there's a lot of great things going on and some things that you're not going to even get in the Toyota and the Honda. So let's talk about all the pros of the new Sonata. And then we'll talk about the efficiency. Now, you'd hope the efficiency is good on the hybrid, right? And it is. 47 mpg combined is what they claim, and from what I've seen this week, that's pretty accurate. It is front wheel drive only, which we talked about earlier, and this is on 17-inch wheels. Generally speaking, the smaller the wheel, the more range you get, the less rolling resistance that you have. And to be fair, this is the least efficient of its rivals. The Camry is doing about 50 mpg and the Accord on 17s is getting 48. So 48 versus 47. It's still incredibly efficient. It's really smooth. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But yes, very efficient here in the Sonata Hybrid. And when it comes to styling, like I said, 2024 is a facelift year for the Sonata. And as you can see, the whole catfish theme has gone away. And I kind of liked the catfish theme. It was a little weird, it had some personality, but it is very, very attractive now. And a lot of that is helped with the Aero Silver paint, which looks fantastic in midday sun, has loads of metal flake in it, and looks expensive. But you now get the new split headlights, so there goes the catfish thing, although they still gradient, not up the hood, but kind of in towards the center. Now you've got a reworked lower fascia and it looks more aggressive. And around the side you get 17-inch wheels on your hybrid limited trim here, and they look incredibly Genesis G80. And the profile design is very sculpted, lots of body creases, but in a classy way. Same as the pre-facelift. And the rear design is new. You've got a new taillight design with a digital pyramid design and an embellished rear diffuser. It looks great, and one of my favorite things, and something that they definitely took from Genesis, is this front fender light lights up as your blinker. That's kind of cool. Very luxury, very Genesis. And then when we talk about the driving experience, I started that on a corner on purpose. You couldn't really tell it was a corner because this thing is so soft and just, it's inoffensive is really, I guess, the best word that I could use to describe it. The ride is supple, the power is smooth, there's not gobs of it, but it's incredibly smooth. The hybrid handoff between gas and electric is really refined and seamless. Maybe not quite as much as Toyota's system, and it's not as sporty or engaging as the Toyota new Hybrid 5 system in their new Camry, but you don't have a CVT here, you have a 6-speed, which is nice. You're not getting that in really any of the other hybrids. And it's just like the other two, and it's just easy to drive. It's relaxing, it's comfy, if not more so than the other two. I just like this. This is a very, very, very good thing to drive in, to be transported from A to B in. It's great. And then when it comes to your technology suite, you're getting everything here, and a lot of stuff here that you're not even getting even on some upmarket luxury brands. You get a head-up display. It's exclusive to the limited trim, but it's really nice. And you've got a digital instrument cluster, and that's going to be standard on SEL trims and up. And you've got the huge center screen. You've got a wireless charger with that raised rubberized piece, so it charges more efficiently and doesn't go flying around the cabin. And you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and they're wireless, which is a big change. And you've got 360 cameras for your limited here, and they even have that Mercedes-Benz force field kind of thing as you get close to stuff. And when it comes to your safety suite, you've got HDAS in your N-Line and your limited trim. And as far as non-hands-free systems, this HDAS system is one of our favorites that we've ever tested, and it continues to be really, really good in this Sonata. And then when it comes to the overarching cabin experience, what you see and feel and interact with in the cabin here, now it's totally new for this year, and much more in line with the new Hyundais that we've tested. The new Kona, the new Tucson will be like this. A few places there are some cheap and scratchy plastics, but as a whole, it's very, very nice. You get a faux wood dash up here on your limited. It looks expensive. You've got the new steering wheel with the kind of Morse code H, which is kind of cool, and you have loads and loads of storage everywhere in the cabin, especially up front here. Your shifter is moved up to the stalk, so it frees up that space down there, so that really maximizes your storage capacity. Your climate controls, they're a mix of physical and digital, but they're always there and they're super easy to work with. You've got dual zone climate as standard now. You've got smart cup holders, so the one in the back is a little bit narrower for more conventional size bottles, and then they will put the one in front as a little bit bigger for us that have bigger water bottles, because that's a thing. So thank you, Hyundai, for being thoughtful. You've got heated and cooled seats here on your limited, heated steering wheel, 2 levels, which is super nice. Memory seating here on your limited, leather here on your limited, cloth you will get on the SEL, but suede and leatherette for your N-Line, so each trim has its own kind of unique personality, and I just have to say the cabin experience here, it feels very much more upscale than the Accord, and nicer and cohesive design, and more cohesive design than in the Camry. So excellent job on your interiors, Hyundai. As we head into the rear seats, I mean, just look, they're massive and super comfy. They are genuinely spacious though. They have loads of knee room and even headroom. And you can get a panoramic sunroof on SEL Convenience and up. And you get shades on the limited trim, which is fantastic. You don't even get that in the BMW i5 that we're testing this week also. You're not going to get that on the Honda or the Toyota either. And you've got vents back here, you've got chargers back here, you've got a single map pocket. The only thing that you're missing is a heated rear seat, which is not something that I would expect, but since we're getting upmarket luxury items like rear shades and a power trunk, which we'll get to in a second, anything's possible. And when it comes to your trunk and cargo area, like we said before, it's powered, you've got close and lock, and it's really practical. Now it is only powered on your limited trim, but you get 16 cubic feet of space regardless, and your seats fold from the trunk, and most importantly, the hybrid does not eat into any trunk space. And you have a spare tire, but weirdly not in your limited trim. But either way, super practical trunk. Now let's cover a couple odds and ends before we go for a drive. Now it's not such a big deal here on the hybrid, but your base Sonatas are not going to get auto start stop. Also, you can get Smart Park, but only on the limited here. And just like the Ioniq 5, you have this weird little tab on the left of the cluster here. And we're seeing this more from Hyundais lately, but you see you have this USB-C port, and you can either charge and link to use for CarPlay or things like that, or you can just charge, and it changes the light inside the charger, depending on what it's gonna do. And look at these little buttons here on your center console for drive mode, parking sensors, camera, and auto hold. They look like they would be tabs, right? But they're just buttons. Something to note. And if you're a passenger, you have a secret little cubby here for contraband. And last thing before we go for a drive, the buttons here have a pulse. Now there's screen and there's haptic feedback, there's sounds and things like that, but they also have a pulse depending on what you click here on your climate stack. Let's go for a drive. Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. Okay. Honestly, that is the first time I've been in sport mode this week. This is also the first time I've really done like a 0 to 60 test or launch. And it was fine. Honestly, it feels a little bit more peppy than I was expecting. That low end, immediate electric torque I think really helps, and then you get that rasp of the 4-cylinder. It doesn't sound super great. What this thing has been though, in eco mode, which these aren't tabs, these are just like buttons that look like tabs. But in eco mode, this thing is fabulous. Is it less sporty than the Camry with its new hybrid 5 system? Yes. Is it more comfortable than the Camry though? Also, I think yes. Now, I didn't have as much time with the Camry as I've had with this, but I am so thrilled with what this comes together as. It's not incredibly exciting, but it is just very, very good. As a sedan, it is incredibly efficient. Every time I get in the car and go for a little bit of a drive, that average MPG figure goes up. This is also a little artificially low because I had it sitting there idling for like 2 hours while I was getting B-roll and stuff, but the 47 MPG combined figure I think is totally realistic. It's quick enough, but where it shines is in just like the daily usability. I sit a little bit high, like 2 inches higher than I would want to, but it's so smooth. The hybrid transition between gas and electric is very, very good. Maybe not quite that Toyota level, but very, very close. The ride is incredibly supple. The cabin is quiet. The visibility is excellent. And it's just a good hybrid sedan. It does everything that I want it to. It brings a shocking number of luxuries that I was not expecting, like rear window shades. I don't think you get that really much of anywhere. Cooled seat, that's not a given. Power trunk. I mean, these are impressive, impressive things. The 360 camera, that's not necessarily something that you would expect from this price point. And the fact that it's got the little like Mercedes-Benz like force field around it, it's just cool. It's done so well. It's done very Hyundai. The dash looks a lot more modern. The design is clean. The materials, at least on the seat, are really nice. Now, of course, you still have some stuff like that, but it's just good. I'm just impressed. You know, it's just a good sedan. It's just well done. So if I had to like, I guess if you were gonna make me rank them, I would pick this second of the three. And the reason is price. The reason is price. So the Limited here starts at like 37, I wanna say, and then the Toyota is several $1,000s cheaper. And it's a Toyota, it's, you know, it's that reliable hybrid system. So there's that whole thing that you get a great warranty here, and Hyundai stands by it, and their hybrid systems have been good. But it's just, you're getting everything here, but you are gonna pay for it. I was a little surprised to see that the Hyundai is so much more expensive than the Toyota, but I mean, if they were even money, I would take this. Even if they were a little bit closer to even money, I would take this because I'm really impressed. I think the styling outside looks good. The styling inside looks good. It feels nice and premium and pretty expensive. The tech is fantastic and the ride is incredible. Plus it's super efficient. So I'm gonna keep talking myself in circles, but thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to Hyundai for letting us have a go in your Hyundai Sonata Limited Hybrid. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.